events with considerable interest, I suspect, is called Joe Root, who is a young Yorkshire opener who's been selected for England's Test tour to India this winter. Joe Root, good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Congratulations. Great stuff.
Thanks, thank you very much.
Right. When did it all start? When did you first pick up a cricket bat?
I think I got shoved one in my hand when I was about 2 weeks old.
As he bowls to Root, who picks him up over deep mid-wicket, and that is going to be just 6. It just carried over the ropes, and that was a fine shot, a really meaty blow. I said, did he have the power? He did there.
Joe, it's all been a bit of a whirlwind. How's the England experience been so far?
It's been fantastic. Obviously a great learning opportunity, and got a taster with the first 3 test matches, and now to finally get an opportunity has been phenomenal.
And who was it who gave you the fantastic news then the day before?
Alistair Cook gave me the news, which is obviously nice to receive, and just really proud.
259 for 4. Root on 96. Bracewell goes into bowl to him now, and that's nurdled away down towards third man, and there it is. Root's first Test 100 on a Saturday at Leeds in front of his home crowd. Huge roar goes up, and he gets a hug from Bairstow. A milestone in any cricketer's life, and possibly the first of many for Joe Root. A maiden Test match 100.
Root on 97, a short leg, a slip, and in goes Herath from this end, the nursery end. He bowls on the leg stump, tucked away into the leg side. There's 3 here, I reckon. Let's see. It might only be 2. The field is giving chase. The crowd really want Root to turn and come back for the 3rd. Here he comes. The throw on the bounce. And look at Joe Root celebrate this return to the England team. Drops for the final test of the Ashes. He's back for the first test of the summer and celebrates with 100 not out. And Matt Pryor, another in rehabilitation as it were, who's coming back into the fold, gives him a great hug and says well done. And all around Lords, those that remain, and there's still a fair number, thousands, 20,000 maybe, are on their feet.
Root on 99. Here comes Daryl Mitchell bustling in. Root steps forward, looks to chop, could have chopped it onto his stump, but it's running away down to the final leg boundary for 4. And Joe Root looks a little sheepish as he then hugs Ollie Pope. But he's done it. It is another 100 in the career of Joe Root. 100 number 27. Now he kisses the badge. Now he raises both arms. And that familiar smile is back again. Consecutive hundreds, back-to-back innings for Joe Root for the 3rd time in his career.
Joe Root, open stance. He gives himself room. He carves it out to the cover. And Joe Root goes to 34 Test hundreds. He jumps in the air. He raises his bat to the crowd. Everyone up on their feet to witness a man do something that no other England player has done before. We salute you, Joe Root.
He is quite simply England's greatest, and it's absolutely right he set the record on his own. Take it in, Joe. We are watching a genius.
2 days ago, 33, here you are, 34th. Well done.
Cheers, thank you.
Explain to a batting dunce what batting nirvana actually is. I mean, are you literally just standing there and just playing and not really having...
It's as if you're like hovering outside of your body, and it's just doing it on autopilot. And I think it only really happens 4 or 5 times in your career. But that's what you're always searching for. And when you go out and practice and you do all the work, and you're trying to get yourself in that place where you can just be on autopilot. And if it doesn't work out, you just got to... I guess that's a way of trying to keep improving and getting better, and that's sort of a driver for me. Is every day can I get closer to that state where you feel like it's just happening automatically.
He needs 4 runs. He's waiting now, bat raised. Jamal on his way, scuttles in, bowls to him, and he drives straight down the ground. It's beaten the mid on field to win a chase here for him. The ball's creeping towards the boundary. It's just going to make it. And Joe Root has done it. He's become the highest scoring Englishman in Test match history, and he's done so undemonstrably. Does he know? There's no raising of the bat, there's no kissing of the badge, there's no jumping up and down. He's already hit more centuries than anybody else. And now in his 147th Test match, he's beaten Sir Alistair Cook's record of 12,472 runs. And I must say, it's highly likely that whatever Root's final tally will be, it'll never be beaten.
Comes down the wicket and guides it away down to deep backward point, and there's the run. Well, it takes Root into second place in the all-time Test run scorer list. He's gone past Ricky Ponting, and the crowd is rising to him. He's out there on his own now. He's got no one left to surpass except the great Sachin Tendulkar.
Yes, another special moment for Joe Root yesterday, who lies behind only Tendulkar. And earlier today, Root reflected on that achievement with Alison Mitchell.
Joe, many congratulations for passing that incredible milestone yesterday. What was that moment like for you in the middle when you went past Ricky Ponting's marker?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great day for batting, first and foremost. I think the platform that was laid by the guys the previous night was outstanding. And then, yeah, I mean, it was really quite cool. I mean, to experience a whole ground standing like that for you it's a really nice feeling. But at the same time, you've got a job to do, and you know that it's a huge game within this series, a big series. We've got a real chance of trying to get in a strong position going into these last 2 days, and ultimately that's what you play for, right? Is to set games up or chase big scores down and get your team across the line. So that was the main focus. It was obviously very touching, but there was bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, no, there's a focus on winning this match and the series, of course. But in that moment, I think Ben was there with you as well. He looked a little bemused. Was he aware of the significance of the 120 mark?
I don't think so. But again, like that's the whole point, really, is that it's something probably I look back on at the end of my career rather than right now. Or there's so many more important things that we have to handle and make sure that we get right. So. It was a really cool day. Something I say in time I'll try and take it in properly and sort of appreciate what I've achieved. But there's so much important cricket still to be played within this series, within this game, and obviously in the next little while. So that's the main focus right now.
Have you had many messages already? Have you seen Ricky Ponting? Because he's actually on the ground.
I've just actually seen him this morning. It was very nice for him to come over. So. Again, Ricky's someone that I grew up admiring, watching, trying to emulate, copy in the garden at my local club, trying to play the pull shot that he's obviously world famous for. So even just to be spoken about in the same sentence as those guys are people that you grew up wanting to emulate and pretending to be is pretty cool.
And that must be a bit surreal for, say, your dad, and everyone else who saw you as that little lad running around the outfield at Sheffield Collegiate. What do you think it means to your family?
I think they're obviously incredibly proud, and they put a huge amount of work in to helping me get here, whether that be taking me to games, providing opportunities, giving up their time. Grandparents, my wife as well, having to deal with everything on the side of it all, going through it with you without having any sort of control over what happens. So, there's so many people, coaches from club cricket all the way up to international cricket. They've given me their time, their wisdom. I'm extremely grateful for all of that too.
And by simply playing the games that you do, staying in the moment, looking to win matches, these records are coming. You've only missed 2 Test matches your entire career, and neither of those were through injury. What do you do? What keeps you fit and injury-free to have this longevity as well?
I've been quite fortunate, I think. I have had injuries, but they've generally fallen outside of Test matches. I've broken pretty much all my fingers at different points from dropping too many catches and stuff, but... I think more than anything, you got to make sure you're prepared to play, and there's an element of fitness within that. But I think through experience, you learn what you need to do to get ready, whether that be a skill point of view, from a physical point of view, from a mental point of view. And I feel like I've had a good handle of that, and I've been very lucky in terms of managing to avoid injury thankfully I don't run in and try and bowl fast, and I haven't got that sort of worry in terms of loading the odd bouncer in there when I'm bowling. But apart from that, I've been quite fortunate that I don't have to put my body through, what Woody might have to, or Stokesy and those guys that bowling 20-30 overs in an inning. So that's probably helped slightly too.
We can't have this chat without mentioning the name of Sachin Tendulkar, because notably the one time you shared a test match with him was your debut match. What was that like for you, and what esteem, I suppose, did you hold Sachin in that moment?
Huge. I mean, he made his test debut before I was born, and then to be playing, on the same ground as him, to get the chance to play against him was incredibly cool. So again, someone you grew up watching, admiring, trying to learn from, to be on the same field, watch him go and play, even throughout that whole series as 12th man. Just seeing the reception he'd get when India would lose a wicket and the whole crowd would cheer, it was bizarre. So to see him go about his business and to get to play in a series where he was still playing was really quite a memorable experience that I'll never forget.
Does it feel bizarre for you that you are now second behind him in the all-time list, and within your sights potentially?
I mean, it's not something that I will focus on. Those sort of things should look after themselves. The focus has to be about winning games, and like I say, setting them up if we're earlier on in the test match, and if we need to chase something down, figuring out how to play that situation well and working with the guys out there to get us across the line. So it might sound a little bit boring and methodical, but ultimately that's what I need to do to help England win, and that's why we play the game, right? Is to be involved in big series like this, in big games, and want to really go out there and put a really strong performance in for the 10 other guys in the dressing room and for everyone in the ground watching.
Nice chat. Joe Root with Alison Mitchell yesterday. Can he surpass the great Tendulkar? And what will be the magnitude of that achievement, I wonder? Well, we're joined by two great run scorers. Sir Alistair Cook, who's England's test run scoring record Joe Root surpassed, and Cheteshwar Pujara, who played 103 tests for India and knows all about what Sachin Tendulkar means throughout the game, not just in that part of the world. We've got Andy Zaltzman here as well to crunch some numbers. So let's go back to Nagpur. Cookie, I was there. You went in and told him that he was making his debut. Quite an important game, actually, wasn't it? Because it was an extraordinary series, that one. And if England lost, it would have tied the series, wouldn't it? And coming back from behind and all of that. I mean, it was only been done once before by Gower's team. Big game.
It was a big game.
Why did you choose him? Just to get some extra batting in?
Well, at that time, Samit Patel was batting at 6, and that kind of gave us another option. So, like most England sides, we started off the series with 3 seamers, 1 spinner, and then Samit as like the all-round spinner, trying to play to our strengths. That obviously didn't work. The man on my right helped himself to a big double 100, and we watched him what seemed like for days. And also he'd played in a warm-up game against us for India A or whatever team you want to call it, and helped himself to another 100. So we saw a lot of him to start the series. Anyway, as the series unfolded, I think so Root almost came on that tour, and I'm pretty sure this is when my memory of selection and it was almost like the 17th man. Like they take 16, then you go there and on tour, and you often take a 17th, a guy for experience,
promising youngster,
without, but had earned his right because he scored a lot of runs for the Lions, and had this name Root had always been around. This I can't remember, Graham Thorpe. He was a massive fan, and we heard you've got to get him in. So I can't remember the selection meeting before that to get him in there, but I remember in Mumbai Johnny Bairstow played because someone went home. I think I'm going to say it might have been Ian Bell.
Right.
Went home for a child or to miss the test match. So Johnny Bairstow had played in the summer. In that last test match in the South African, when Andrew Strauss's last test match with KP missed. So there's kind of that hierarchical system. But straight away on that tour, when we're looking at the, players in their nets and playing spin in particular, I think it was probably after the first Test match where Andy Flower said to me, well, you know who our best player of spin is? And I said, who's that? And he said, it was Joe Root. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, he just makes the fewest mistakes in the nets out of all our top order players. So that discussion had started, but obviously with selection and not the politics, but the next in, you've got to try and have consistency a little bit. Anyway, we got to the last Test match where we didn't have to lose, we only lose, and Samit had done okay, nothing brilliant, but nothing disastrous. And actually, so we thought we'd actually go in with another batter, and it was. I don't think Johnny did play that last game. Someone's going to have to check the scorecard. But Joe Root came in and hasn't looked back. And the final thing, isn't it, about the player? You watch in nets and you watch him operate. He operated really well, really good around the dressing room. Had that smile on his face. A little bit a lot more cheeky than he is now.
Yes, definitely.
And was, I want to say the practical joker, but he had that kind of edge to him. The final thing is how you handle a situation when you go out to bat. And do you freeze or do you just embrace the challenge? And forever, if you ever find that footage, which no one ever watched that series because I don't think Sky had it and no one had I don't think they have photographers there, did they? Or some kind of...
Oh, that's right.
Had some kind of rights.
Banned from the ground,
yeah,
yes.
Exactly. So no one's actually seen any pictures of this tour really or anything. But Joe Root walked out to bat with a massive smile on his face and his England cap on. And he just embraced the situation. Now everyone's going, you obviously scored 13,000 runs, but 20 minutes into that, kind of looked, and you just knew. You just knew he was made for international cricket. If you'd have told me he'd have scored 13,000 Test runs when I first saw him play, I don't think so. I'll hold my hands up and say I didn't see he had that much skill and potential in all three forms. He's worked incredibly hard to become the player he has.
Yeah. I think it was off the top of my head as well. I'm not sure he played any practice games, did he? I mean, were the tests more or less just rattled off one off the other? Would you have played a game?
No, we had 3 warm-up games for that tour.
But warm-ups, so not between between tests.
So I think he got a 60 or 70 in the 3rd warm-up game of that tour, where we kind of might have rested a couple of the so-called big guns, if you want to say, the guns of, who were kind of guaranteed a place or who had scored a couple of runs in some warm-ups. I think he might have got 60 or 70 in one of the games, but he wouldn't have played much.
But I do remember that series because that is one series where I had great memories as a batter, not as a team, because that's the one series which India has lost on their home soil against England. And after that, India has never lost at home. Because I've been part of many test series, and that was probably one of the best test series I've been part of, where we started off really well at Ahmedabad as
won the first test.
The first test. Second test match, that's where things started going England's way. And I still remember Alistair's innings because I was standing at short leg. He ended up playing so many sweep shots that I had to field with a chest pad because him and Kevin Peterson, both of them had a very big partnership, I remember.
In Mumbai.
At Mumbai, yeah. And I think, I can't remember whether it was 3rd test match at Kolkata. Was it 3rd test match where you got 180? Was it 3rd or 4th one?
No, 3rd one, 190. I'll look after every one of my 10 runs on that.
But when you saw Root, Cheteshwar, what did you think? Young lad.
Yeah, because even in the 4th test match, I was just coming to that point because I was constantly, being a young player, I was constantly standing at silly point short leg.
Okay.
So I remember the best players who plays well against spinners. When you are standing at the short leg, you always look at the footwork because you are just trying to find the ball. And how precise is the footwork? That's how you judge a player against a spinner. And Joe Root made his debut at Nagpur. And that's where I was standing at short leg and I was seeing a guy who was making a debut, who hasn't played Indian spinners in the past, who's playing his first international game, and he was so precise with his footwork. And I was so surprised because I had seen some other players of the England team who didn't have that precise footwork.
What do you actually mean? What do you actually mean by precise footwork?
So you judge the length very quickly because most of the times when you are stuck in between, and many foreign players get stuck in between
front foot, back foot,
between front foot and back foot, they are stuck in the crease. But Joe Root was very decisive in his footwork, whether he was playing on back foot or front foot. He was very decisive, and you can see with his footwork, he was very quick, and he had little more time compared to the other batters, because when you make that decision, you have extra time to face the spinners.
Yeah. You try not to be cumbersome.
He's actually taller than you think, Joe, as well, isn't he? He's actually got a good stride. He's a tall man.
Yeah, you try not to be cumbersome. I think a lot of players who play spin poorly in the subcontinent are very rigid. You know, you've got to have that dexterity, whether it's your wrists or your feet, and he's got it in both. He's got it in both. You know, he's so, as Vajara said, he's so quick on his feet, but he doesn't make mistakes and he doesn't get caught. Yeah. The idea about spin is not getting caught half and half, not getting caught in that danger zone. You either got to get as close to the ball as you can or far away from the ball as you can to allow it to spin. And straight away, Joe has always had that ability to do it. And now you watch him play spin, he has every single shot in the book. And what is so impressive about me when he plays spin, it's all so risk-free. So he managed to score against the best spinners in the world with risk-free shots. And if you can do that, guess what? You're going to be way more consistent than anyone else.
I look at him from a quicker bowler's perspective, and I love the way that off-stump, wristy, well, they're length balls, really, that go skimming off at point. I mean, he must be a very, very difficult man to bowl to, because anything's relatively straight, of course, boom. But he's so strong. He's so strong around that off stump and just outside. You've got no margin for error at all.
He is, and I've been telling some of the Indian bowlers, I've never been the captain, so I can't say much about that, but I've been telling that he's so strong on the offside, you can't, because some of the Indian bowlers tends to swing the ball, when there's little bit of help from the pitch, they think that they can nick him off while he's playing his cover drive, but you can't.
He just goes
he's so strong, and you can't block him on the offside, because they've tried doing that. They thought that they can have 7-2 field, but even if you have 7-2 field, even if you have 7 fielders on the offside, he knows how to pierce that gap, and you can't stop him on the offside. He's so strong. And I think he has scored more than 3,000 runs in his Test career against seam bowlers between point to cover, which is incredible.
You can't go 7-2 to him. Like, it just, you know, he will find a way.
We're getting it.
He'll find a way of finding gaps, and you taking out 2 big dismissals. So I actually agree. But if you have to just make him play. Great players don't really have many weaknesses, but you just increase the odds by bowling a bit straighter.
What does he need? Come on then, Andy. What does he need to overtake Sachin Tendulkar?
He is currently 2,512 runs behind Sachin Tendulkar. Tendulkar 15,921, Root 13,409. So in terms of speculating when he might overtake Sachin, at his current rate, so looking back to when he sort of entered his sort of current purple patch after he was caught reverse scooping Bumrah in Rajkot. Since then we've seen his run rates come down closer to what it was pre-Bazball, and he's been incredibly consistent, averaging in the mid-60s with 800s in 19 tests, 101 runs per test since then. So that would take him 25 matches. If we look at his runs per test since Bazball began, that's 88. That would take sort of 28, 29. His overall career runs per test, 85. That would take 29 or 30 matches. So we're sort of looking somewhere between 25 and 30. Obviously, he might go on an even purple patch, but that's sort of roughly where we're looking at. So.
Okay, so we can't look ahead in terms of series yet. We don't know them yet, do we? Stretching on the ICC table. But
if he has a wildly productive couple of years, it's possible it could be during the 2027 Ashes, maybe the winning runs at the Oval in 2027 fifth to go past Tendulkar. How about that?
Well, you mentioned the Ashes. That's still something that remains, isn't it? I mean, there are 2 things about Joe. First, he was dropped, of course, wasn't he? The only time really he was dropped. You axed him?
I axed him in the last game of Sydney.
You did?
I thought that would give me one more game later on in my career while I held the record.
Is that why he was opening in that series? Or was he batting at 3?
I think he was batting at. He ended up batting at 3, where he was like we originally planned that he would bat at 6. I actually can't remember. Look, it was a case, and I remember talking to Andy about it because I think he'd scored more runs than me in that series. Was just taking him out of the firing line.
Yes.
No other reason of just like trying to look after him a little bit. And it was an incredibly tough tour. And how old is he? 21, 22. And I remember the conversation with him, with Andy, and he was like, no, I think this in the long run will do Joe Root the world of good. So am I trying to take credit for dropping him? But
it'll be a good pub quiz question in years to come. I mean, no one's dropped Sachin Tendulkar, presumably, did they? Who was the man, when he overtakes Sachin Tendulkar, who was the man who dropped Joe Root?
Oh, that was just another knife in my back. But the one thing, I've never actually spoken to about Joe, because at the end of that series, there was a lot of other stuff going on, and went on. But is it a coincidence when he came back in his first game, he got a double under in the next Test match? Was that just that little realisation that I don't know this? It's amazing how you can, if you want, put stories together and get a conclusion. But whether it was that real reminder of how hard you have to work, how precious playing for England was, I don't know. People he was never ever going to lie down, was he? He was always going to come back.
But did anyone speak to him after that tour?
Andy would have spoken to him, but then it was quite a complicated time in English cricket. And Andy never coached again after coached England again. But
what about the 100 in Australia? I mean, are you backing him? He's got 5 tests coming up.
Absolutely, I'm backing him to do it. There's no reason why he hasn't scored 100 there, if in terms of talent, in terms of technique. He scored runs everywhere. He scored runs on bouncy wickets. People say it's that shot which he scored so many runs through, through point and through
we were just
gully.
talking about.
The one which we all that makes him so hard to bowl at. That it's just a bit more risky in Australia with that extra bounce. The only thing it does become, if he doesn't do it in the first 2 test matches, it becomes a bit of the story. And I don't care how strong you are and how good a player you are, it's very hard to ignore those stories. He knows it, and then every time when you want something so much, that it becomes a little bit harder. He's a man of full experience of that. He'll just have to keep. What does he do? Do his basics. He do the stuff, do the process, and then he will. He will get 100.
But I think if he has to score runs in Australia, everyone knows that he's very strong on the offside, but you can't score too many runs on the offside in Australian conditions where the ball is bouncing from good length, sometimes back off length.
Yeah.
And his cover drive, that's the shot which he will have to be very careful, because his scoring opportunity from the cover between gully, or the Australian bowlers, they are aware about that. That's more risky in Australian conditions. So if he can find another way to score runs and try and avoid that shot for a bit while the ball is hard and new, I think he will have a great success.
So Sachin then, come on. There's always been this kind of, I don't know, people have assumed that no one would ever overtake Sachin Tendulkar. It's just kind of been, everyone has assumed that. And I wonder what it would mean, well, not just in India, but around the world, Pooj, if he does.
Yeah, I think it will be a massive achievement, isn't it? No one at one stage thought that anyone can come close to Sachin Tendulkar's number of runs which he has scored in Test cricket. But if Joe Root achieves that, it'll be massive. And some of the Indian fans will be disappointed.
They will. It'll be quite a topic, won't it?
Yeah, it will be. But at the same time, I think he has worked hard. He has earned this. So records are to be broken.
They are.
And even going forward, if someone carries on playing like this, not just Joe Root, but going forward, I know that number of test matches are reducing every year.
Yes.
So not many players will have that opportunity. But at the same time, we have seen that whenever someone creates a record, eventually someone else breaks it.
It's a great subplot over the next couple of years, isn't it? I mean, you know Sachin very well. Is he going to be aware of Joe Root breathing down his neck now?
Little bit. I think at this age it may not bother him much, but because look, he is a great player. He understands that in the game there'll be players who will be breaking some records. So as a player, when you are playing for your country, the time which you spend while you are playing, that's the most memorable time. And what happens afterwards, you just keep an eye, but you're not completely bothered about it.
And in terms of English batsman, Alistair, I mean, he just, it's so hard to compare, isn't it? You can't go back to Wally Hammond and Colin Cowdrey and all of this, but in terms of the batsmen that you've seen, you go back to Graham Gooch and people like that, and Gower. Root the most complete?
Well, I don't think it is that hard on this one. I think he is just a level above any other English batsman we've ever had. And if you want to then argue slightly differently in terms of, well, whether you want to say boycott, or you say Gooch, that's just Test cricket. If you're now throwing in the all-round package of Joe Root, if you just want to add another little bit to the argument, he averages more than all of them, I think, apart from, the generation way before is very like the Huttons and the Comptons. I can't have that discussion with anyone because I just don't know. I've never seen them play. I don't think anyone can. But for the guys we've all seen play, and you've seen play, I can't see a player who has been as complete, as hungry, and with a technique which is so rock solid, and to score runs all over the world, and as many of them. I know the extra numbers because the guys play now more Test matches than they did back in the day, but I'm 100% convinced Joe Root is the best batsman England have ever had, the most complete, but ultimately the best, yeah.
And is he a ferocious practicer?
Absolutely.
All the time. I mean, nets.
Well,
throw down.
He got it was 100 at Lords. Did he get 100 at Lords? And I went up to say, well done. He goes, no, it wasn't good. It wasn't that good. There's something, in my back cliff I wasn't happy with. I've sorted it now. And it's just that mentality which is so hard to get. It's easy to say, oh yeah, people work hard, but he actually works smart as well. He knows his game so well,
yes,
and he feels it. I like this. Someone, I don't know, Nick, I think it was Ricky Ponting said, he's a problem solver as well. He solves problems on the way, where rather than just saying, this is what I know, I've played 140 Test matches, 150, I've scored the most runs, I know, he's still looking for those solutions to become even better. And when I played with him, it was his consistency of striking the ball all the time, which just amazed me. How many times he middled the ball, whether it was in practice. It's certainly in practice when you're really close to him, or out in the middle. It was an extraordinarily high percentage of.
He used an expression, Cheteshwar, called batting nirvana, and he did that at Lords last year. Do you remember? And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "It's when you're almost out of your body, and you're just batting, and you just not even have to think about anything." Have you ever experienced something like that? Do you know what somebody meant?
I remember one incident, because why that happens, because when he's out there in the middle, he gets that success, but I think his preparation, it is quite meticulous. He has a method to it. He knows how he's preparing. And I remember one incident when we were playing a series in India. It started raining, so the net pitches were covered. So no one was allowed to practice, but he found a cement patch somewhere and asked one of the coaches to do some throwdowns with it. So he finds solution. Even if you can't practice, you find a way to practice.
Yes.
So he's very particular about how he wants to prepare. And that is just one incident, but I've played a little bit of county cricket with him. I've spoken to him, and he always says that he relies heavily on his preparation, and he also because whenever we have had battles on the field, I've seen that he always looks at the opposition. He knows that if he's going to play Jasprit Bumrah, how is he going to face him? What are going to be his challenges? And he does that homework before the series starts. So whenever a series starts, he's always in the form, because from the first Test match onwards, I have seen that it's always a tough task for the Indian bowlers to get him out. Because he comes very well prepared. He knows if he's whenever we have played in India, whether it's Jadeja or Ashwin, one of the best spinners in India, but he has an answer to that. He knows where are his scoring opportunities.